wanton killings and arson are precipitating a tough conduct of the November 6th governorship election. Hence, the Nigerian police is responding in a proportionate fashion. Yes, that the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has directed that 34,587 police personnel, as well as 3 helicopters, to be mobilized to the state to guarantee the conduct of a hitch-free election. According to the Force Public Relations Officer, Frank Umba, the operational assets deployed for the smooth conduct of the poll include the Police Air Wing and the Force Marine and Animal Branch. Judy, for this off-season election, I'm not surprised at this figure, 34,587. If you remember any off-season election in Nigeria, if you remember Kogi, if you remember the ones, Edo, Ondo, Osun, those states, they have their governorship election, they normally mobilize heavily, and they will even get the DIG. There will be one DIG that will be in charge of the operation, and there will be even 3 AIGs on ground for each of the senatorial districts. You will see the deployment is always very, very massive. But Anambra State, pre-election violence, according to what we've seen and everything, and it looks like some people, they are bent in destabilizing that process. They don't want the governorship election to take place in Anambra State. So there have been several shootings, killings, and destruction of life and properties in Anambra State, and we are counting down. It's just days to the election now.
Yes, the election is November 6th, and if you've been following developments in the state, the violent eruptions in the state, you will not be surprised that we are mobilizing this number of policemen. But you know, it's one thing to mobilize policemen, it's another thing to provide them with the tools that they need to work with. It's another thing to also motivate them properly. I would expect that these policemen who are going, the funds to take their allowances will have been taken care of at this time. We've had cases in which even those policemen came close to protesting publicly that their allowances for providing security during the elections were yet to be paid. I hope that this time around, the allowances, the inconvenience allowances for these officers would even have been provided before they leave. Secondly, the weapons that they need to work with, the APCs, the anti-riot gear, all of the things that they need must be provided, because the way things are, they are going to a place where the enemy has some level of capability in terms of weapons handling and in terms of even the weapons at their disposal. Some separatist groups in the southeast have been saying, look, we will not allow elections to take place until we have a referendum. Remember, even the last governorship election in that same state, we had some crisis in the beginning. They said they were not going to allow election to take place, but ultimately they were asking for a referendum at that time. You know, ultimately election later took place. But I have to admit that things are a lot worse now than then in 2018. Things are a lot worse now, which means that the preparation has to be top-notch. You can imagine a situation in which the political parties have not been able, apart from ABGA, have not been able to campaign publicly.
And when you told me people were campaigning in Delta State,
the PDP, they went to Delta Asaba for a rally. when that is not the state where campaign, they are doing election. You can imagine the YPP candidate came to Lagos here.
Alaba.
To campaign, So even the candidate of Abuja, Professor Soludo, was attacked. His campaign was attacked at Ihiala. Fortunately, himself and the governor were not already at the venue, but they killed people. So if we have, and remember, Andy Obaha to cancel his inaugural rally, maybe we'll now be able to do
final.
That's the grand finale. Nobody knows. Politicians now, a lot of them are not staying in their houses. They are staying in hotels. If you paint a vehicle in the colors of your party, you are putting yourself at risk, because they've been attacking vehicles painted in the colors of political parties. They are just killing people. So we need not just the police, the army too have to be on ground to provide support. The civil defense, the navy, the air force, all of the security assets that we have. It's unfortunate. Someone said, "Are we not going to militarize the election?" But the thing is, if we want people to come out to vote, then they must even see on the streets that they are safe.
Yes,
that show of strength, the parade of the streets by security forces will give people the confidence to go and vote. Although I must also add that the security agents must not get involved in the election. They must not even be too close to the polling center, because the Electoral Act forbids them
gun wielding.
Yes, to be too close officers to the polling station. So let them not get involved, and they should not suppress votes from any part of the state, because there are fears that if there are too many policemen and soldiers, the election could be rigged. They could be used to rig the election. I want to believe that will not happen. We've had a series of elections from that state, off-season elections from that state, that the ruling party lost. The PDP lost there. The APC too has lost there twice. So we just hope for the best.
When you see the attack on even INEC office, any election, at any given election, governorship election, you will see how fortified the INEC office, how they used to fortify it. Like 5-10 kilometers to that office, you see sniper dogs, you see trucks, APC and everything. And this is the situation now that we found ourselves, that Anambra, some people are even saying that, look, it will just be very difficult to even hold last-minute rally. By tradition, even Mr. President is meant to go there to go and raise the hand of his candidate, his party candidate. But it's looking so impossible right now. I think
since 1999, it has never been this bad in Anambra State. We are talking of 34,589 policemen. That represents almost about 10% of the entire police force. So that's a very huge number. But I think when we are talking about violence in Anambra State, I see three sources. The first one are self-determination groups who think, look, anything in Nigeria, we don't want it.
Yes.
Then there are some people that they are in power. They feel there is a almighty federal government that wants to come and take the state from them. Then we also have some people that think that, look, Abuja must go at all cost. So we must be able to analyze all these different interests that are, responsible for the kind of situation we have in Anambra State. But I think all said, the police must know that their greatest alliance should be to ensure free and fair election, to ensure that the will of the people triumph, to ensure that elections are not rigged, because that is actually what can lead to greater violence if the wrong candidate is imposed on the people by either of the political parties. So the police should know that they are there to defend the interests of the people, not to defend the interests of people in power. So they must be professional, they must prevent violence, they must avoid abuse, abuse of rights of the people of Anambra State. And like Babajide said, they must stay clear of election, or unless when it is absolutely necessary for them to arrest people that are causing trouble. So they should go there to defend democracy and the values of democracy, so that the right candidate that comes out of the will of the people can emerge.
I'm even happy that the position of INEC, because INEC is saying, look, we are ready to go ahead with this election. You know, they are not, they've shown courage, they've shown determination, and INEC has to be backed at this stage. What the security
what can you predict
that they desire? Because if they are confident they want to do the election, they are not thinking of postponement. Many people have been asking me that won't INEC postpone this election the way it's going? But INEC said no, we are ready for the election. So it's now left for the security agencies to provide that game-changing security that INEC needs to conduct its business transparently.
Because I was talking about the turnout, that would this crisis in any way affect the turnout?
Of course, this is easy to predict. The turnout will be low. Professor Soludo has done well going around campaigning. In fact, when he came to Onitsha, they closed the market for him. And that's one of the biggest markets in Africa. They closed it down for him. He's been doing those rallies. He's been trying to build a movement. And clearly is the front runner, is the man to beat, because everyone knows that Abuja always does well in those local elections. In the National Assembly elections,
that's the only thing
PDP always trumps other parties
yes.
In the National Assembly election. But the local elections, that's the House of Assembly and the governorship. Abuja is always at his best. It's like the people see that as the what Ojukwu Ikemba Ojukwu left for them,
the legacy.
And the legacy that he left for them, so they still hold on to it. Now, with the threats that will normally come even in a few days to the election, I'm sure that many people would rather stay in their houses. Of course, elections in our country have almost always been like that. Turnouts are usually low, you know, usually just a fraction of registered voters will come out. But security situation has even made this one potentially worse.
Okay,
you know?
I have Ulelewe from Owerri in Imo State.
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen in the studio.
Yes, welcome, Ulelewe.
Yeah, this is Ransom Tukonakolo, and I'm calling from Owerri in Imo State. I want to talk about the NSAS protest of last year. Okay. I think it is the right of every citizen in every democratic setup to express your feelings or grievances about what is happening within your environment. And it's also expected that you do it within the rules of the ambit of the law. And it should also be the responsibility of the security agencies to make sure that people to have the right to protest and to guide them, like you rightly pointed out, from being hijacked or for not to infiltrate and derail the purpose of such, protest. But my worry is this: 1 year down the line, have we really learned anything about the census protest last year? The relevant agencies that are supposed to, learn one lesson or the other about the circumstances in the past that led to that process, have they really learned anything? Yes. I'm calling you from the Southeast agencies, especially the police and the army, the way they behave here is the way they behave in other parts of the country. Hopefully here, the mount roadblocks, collect money, and in the full clear of everybody, give change. It's unfortunate that the hierarchy has refused to address this issue. Complacent about what is happening. It is not only eroding professionalism in our security agencies, it is also undermining the integrity and respect the citizens are supposed to have.
Thank you, Lelewe. Thank you for your contribution. We're still talking about election.
That's a point, really. Yes. Even the violence.
Have you learned anything a year after?
Even the violence in the Southeast has been worsened by the activities of security agencies.
Yeah.
You are shooting people indiscriminately. You are killing people. When you kill an innocent person, don't forget that that innocent person has relations.
Yes,
who will remain bitter for the rest of their lives. Some of them sometimes will take up
revenge.
They take up arms against you.
Yes.
That is how some of the mushrooming so-called self-determination groups are springing up in the southeast. The army and the police have to conduct their business in a very responsible way. When the American troops were doing some illegal things, they were carrying out needless killings in Iraq, they didn't know that they were going to give birth to ISIS. That's how the idea of ISIS came up. Some prisoners, even in the Abu Ghraib prisons, were being sodomized by American troops. And that's one of them was the man who, Baghdadi, who now set up ISIS. It was in response to molestation by an occupation force. So let's be careful about the way we conduct ourselves. In all of those, the extortion has to stop. Police, the extorsion has to stop.
Wasn't see any young man in his 20s,
yeah, you see, if he has there was a video of a soldier who was beating up a woman because she tinted her hair. So you have no job to do again, a soldier, when you can go to the northeast and face Boko Haram. You are going after people who are wearing tight-fitting pants and men who recalled their hair. Or what is your business with that? That's the point that he's making. These things have to be addressed. 1 year after, are we better off with the police that we have? In my view, it's still work in progress. If anyone thinks that we can suddenly have the police of our dream, even by a protest, no, that one can't happen. We have to go to the basics. Look at the quality of people we are recruiting.
So we're talking about the turnout of voters. We're talking about voters apathy. Anambra State before now governorship election, it has not been encouraging. Now that we have unknown gunmen all around, I don't know what will be the stick. A lot of people, even in that region, will even tell you that, look, as far as it's Federal Republic of Nigeria,
I think a lot of factors will motivate people who will make them to stay back. In the first instance, some people they have lost hope in the country. They will tell you, we are not interested, in any election that is conducted by Nigeria. The second factor is the fact that some people believe that we have been having elections since 1999. What comes out of it at the end of the day? There has not been any fundamental changes in terms of the economic situation in the country. And then there are some people that want to stay back because of fear of violence, of deaths and all that. So I think predictably the election in Anambra State is going to witness low turnout. But what is important is that whether we are going to have 20,000 voters or 50,000 voters, let there be a fair, credible election that will reflect the true will of the people of Anambra State. Let there not be any attempt to force any candidate on the people. Let the people express their will. And at the end of the day, I think we'll be better.
The electronic transmission of results that we are jubilating
INEC, yes.
Let them fully at use or in use in Anambra.
Okay, Amora is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Amora. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, thank you for staying with us. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon,
Amora.
Oh, no.
Hello, Babajide.
Yeah, we can hear you. Good evening. Good afternoon. Yeah.
Good evening, Journalits Hangout.
Thank you so much.
My contributions to the election is this. My prayer is that we will have that election. My contribution to this.
You can just step away from your TV set.
My prayer is that
turn down the volume.
We will have that election. The state of the insecurity we have today in that state or in that region is alarming. Can you hear me now well?
Yes, just keep talking, don't stop.
So because now this are agitating that there will be no election. And you know one thing, the common man in the Anambra, their problem is that once this set of people threatened them, that no, don't come out, sit at home. The common man in Anambra obeys to the letter than the order of the government. If you watch these days of every Monday, sit at home, they make caricature of the government. But my prayer is that day, the security men, like I Jesus said, will be on the roads and make sure that the common people that will come to vote will be protected. If not, I bet you that day will be deserted. You will not see any single human being on the polling booth.
I'm just looking at this from that perspective.
This boy.
Thank you for that.
Very valid.
Yes.
I've been thinking about
if the normal sit at home, the street will be deserted, and if
it should happen on election day,
on election day,
nobody will come out to vote.
Politicians will then be in one sort of contestation for the ballot papers.
Because who are those people that will feel
who will vote? Even the ad hoc staff of INEC and the rest of them, they may not want to come out. Nobody wants to die now. And these people fear them. They fear the unknown government more than even the governors. The governors have been issuing threats. People don't come out. So unfortunately.
All right. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more.